Instead of me introducing the game to you, I'm just gonna let the game introduce itself. God, motorcycles are so fucking cool. Road Rash 3D is a strange game in a strange series. It's also the only one that got everything wrong, and it's also the only game in the series that I've actually grown up playing, aside from the jailbreak port for the GBA. I've never played an Idolmaster game in my life, and that's a trend I wish to continue. Unless, you know, you got some money. For the sake of this review not turning into a tutorial about game mechanics that I never elaborate on, I feel like I do that a lot. Road Rash 3D is a motorcycle combat racing game. It's kind of like Mario Kart, but the red shells are 2x4s and the atmosphere is just pure 90s cheese. The game takes place in California, I think. There's a coastline, lots of Asians, and nothing is straight in the Bay Area. Talking about the roads. The soundtrack does have beach rock and a song called Speed Home California. All the FMVs are shot in LA and the surrounding areas. None of the cars use their blinkers. Wait, fuck, this is California! This menu is pretty Spartan. There's only one game mode, and that's Big Game. Thrash is just a bite-sized version of that, and there are time trials. So we need to name our racer, and I'm just gonna beat y'all to the punch here. Fuck, I ran out of room. Now I have to choose a motorcycle. It says there's 4 categories, but there's really only 2. There's barely any difference between sports and racers. They focus on the racing aspect, and you'll barely see any combat unless you purposely slow down. Oh, of course they gave the man named Boomer a cane. Well, it's mine now. Wait. Oh, it's a crowbar. You know, while we're on this topic, I always thought the cattle prod was like a magic wand. Rats and cruisers are also similar, but both let you experience the combat since the rubber banding works a bit better with their acceleration. And the rats get extra bonus points because you get to play as Van Darkholm. So I wasted my life doing this. I actually tested every single bike. I raced them all on the same track on time trials. And the best way I can sum it up is that racing bikes are the absolute best. And then the further you go down the categories, it's like the worse they get. Rat bikes aren't actually that bad, they're kind of fun to race. But cruisers, they can't turn it all in a game that consists of nothing but turning. It's god-awful.
What were they thinking?
But what I find funny though is the nitro, because it's like the devs knew that the AI didn't really cooperate well with the motorcycle combat. So, in a genius move on their part, they just went, we're gonna give these shitty bikes the most amount of turbo boosts in order to compete. And what's even better is that the game doesn't actually tell you when you have it. And I only found out about nitro boost from looking at the controls in the menu and noticing that there are green dots suddenly on my speedometer, because nitro boosts don't become a thing until the last set of bikes when you really don't need nitro boosts anymore. I'm just gonna be sticking with racing bikes solely because of the last bike you can get in the category. The McBike. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh, fuck! If I had to try and describe racing in 3D, it'd be kind of like racing in a whole new dimension. In Road Rash 3D, it's like racing in the eye of an anomaly. It's utter chaos. The game just picks and chooses when it's going to be realistic. Realistic in the way that you can't take turns this sharp doing
165
without eating asphalt. unrealistic in how sick the air is when you ramp off a pedestrian. Then there's the hitboxes. Inconsistent doesn't even begin to describe them, as that and imply consistency. It's like this game just flips a coin. Sometimes you hit a car to become a ghost, and other times you've already gone ghost. It's my biggest problem I have with Road Rash 3D is just how bad these hitboxes are, because they affect everything else in the game. Huh, I actually can't believe that counted. The cars on the road seem to be a lot bigger than their models imply. Like, I'll try and take a tight corner around a taxi, and then I get knocked off my fucking bike. Here's where it gets weirder though, because if you tap the brakes a ton while going near a car, sometimes you'll just bounce off of them. A lot of cheat sites list exploits like these, and I wonder how shoddy this game's engine is. I mean, apparently you do double damage when your camera is zoomed out. Nope, that was bullshit. I did get my bike on top of a car though, but it turned out to be an undercover cop. Oh, and as it turns out, Time Trials is the multiplayer. This is what poverty looks like. I'll probably come back to this mode to do more testing and shit, and find stuff like this. Rash High. I don't really know what to say to that. Racing in Road Rash 3D is basic. You race between 2 points and that's it. Honestly, it's pretty linear for the map you're given. Look at this. You have all these different roads and the game won't let you go down them. You can't take shortcuts, you have to stay on the path you're given. Oh sure, the game ends with this massive race where you go across the entire map, and that's really cool and all, but man, you give me such a massive map and you barely do anything with it. I really wish this game took the Burnout Paradise approach to racing. Like, you're given a point on the map, and if you know where you're going, then you can just follow any road you want. And I know that Burnout Paradise came out, what, like 20 years later? 10 years later? I don't know. But it's an analogy that I'm trying to use to get a point across, and listen, I just wanted to play Burnout Paradise for the review. But it is really impressive that they managed to make a world this size back in '98. I mean, Driver came out a year later, but it's still impressive. Originally I thought the tracks being linear had to do with how the game renders the world in order to keep up with the speed of the bikes, but it doesn't seem to be that way. Here's something weird though. On the last race I knew where the flag was, so I decided I was going to take a shortcut to it. And while it didn't let me win the race, it did let me fall into a glitch vortex, and then the game said it had a disk read error. I'm playing this on an emulator, so I guess it's just like a crash that's programmed into the game? Strange. I don't know what they did to get this game to run as well as it does, but whatever it was, it turned California into an exclusion zone. I mean, what the fuck was that? The physics are all wrong, and there seems to be something very, very wrong with the pedestrians. I did question what kind of person would just jaywalk into the street, but yeah, that makes sense now. You know, I really do enjoy the look of this game. Yeah, it's primitive and the graphics are barely able to contain their polygons, but it's charming. I like it. Not to mention how beautiful the colors are. This game is just drenched in really good color palettes, and I haven't seen grass this green in a long time. I especially love it when it's at sunset in this game. It's very Dreamcast. Really loving the color palettes for the racers as well. We have some fashion pioneers on the track today, along with the McBike. Did I mention I love the McBike?
And I don't think that the swing arm is stiff enough. It'll never be stiff enough.
What? If I'm being honest, the racing is boring. It has to do with the AI's rubber banding. It's like the hitboxes, non-existent until it exists. Some races you'll never catch the pack, other races you'll be so far ahead that the race is more like a Sunday drive. Hey, that's the name of a race! I think it's tied to your acceleration, because I wanted to fight a cop and I slowed down a little. So did he. I sped up. So did he. We were basically locked at the same speed until I floored it and he did the jump to light speed. I never saw him again. Speaking of cops, they're about the only time you'll actually get to fight anything because their AI isn't designed around winning. It's designed around kicking your ass. You're the only racer that can be busted. I question why, but anyone that dresses like this in public probably has a few warrants out for them. But yeah, the racer AI is solely focused on winning the race. That's why when you slow down, they'll just overtake you. Sometimes you'll get the occasional aggressive driver, but a lot of the time it's going to be everyone minding their own business until traffic hits you. Yeah, that's right, Porky. Give me a baton. Oh, it's a pipe. All these problems are why the combat doesn't work in this game. The simple concept of literally beating the competition, preferably with a pipe, is Road Rash's identity as a series. I'd argue that Road Rash doesn't have much going on with it other than the combat. The racing is more like a stage than an actual race because you're here for the fighting, not the racing. That's why Road Rash 3D is the odd man out of the lineup, because instead of a brawler on bikes, suddenly you have to think about the weight of your bike, pay attention to how sharp the turns are going to get, and you can't make any mistakes or else the AI might actually pass you. And then you'll pass them and it'll be boring again. It sucks because when it does actually work, the combat is fucking amazing. It's impactful. I love the sounds. I love the that the racers make when you knock them off their bike. There's a variety of weapons that are all essentially reskins of the same 3 weapons, but it's fun. Yeah, fun in your fucking review. How about them apples? I want to be clear. Road Rash 3D isn't a good game or a great game, it's a fun game. There's so many problems with it that the scores make sense, but the me of 2001 and the me of 2019 do not give a shit because I love this game. I mean, watch this! How can you not smile while watching this? This is fucking amazing! Or this! What the fuck is going on here? It's all good. I love it. I love it so much. If I'm being honest, I wanted to talk about this game not really to talk about the game, but to talk about the soundtrack and the atmosphere and these FMV cutscenes. They're just beautiful. It's art. Okay, it's not art, but it's bathroom graffiti. Because if you want a good Road Rash game, you're better off playing the original or Road Redemption. I also heard that Road Rash N64 and Jailbreak are good, but this is about nostalgia and playing shitty games in the past, and I really want Road Rash 3D to suck my ass. Oh man, Road Redemption, this is gonna get its own video one of these days, but I do love it. It's a really good game. It's fun. The combat is a lot more fleshed out than it ever was in Road Rash, but it lacks one thing that's key to the series, other than the combat, which is the attitude. Everything is all brown and gray. You're in this Mad Max reality, which is cool on its own, but I crave that 90s attitude in those FMVs. I need that again. God damn it. Just get your iPhone and go film some fucking stunts on your motorbike, dude. It could be a pocket rocket. I don't care. I need it. Alright, finally, here's the reason that I made this video. The soundtrack. This entire soundtrack has shaped my music tastes ever since I was a kid. It's all gold except for that one Kid Rock song. It's alright. It doesn't play often, so that's good. It's what you've been hearing in the background this entire time. You've got Civ, The Tea Party, Sugar Ray, and The Merman, and I love all the tracks on here. It made me realize that early Sugar Ray was some really good stuff. Originally I was gonna say before they sold out, but the bassist for the band has been in a lot of YouTube comments talking about their music and how they actually didn't sell out, but it's up to debate for whatever. It doesn't matter. I watched this video on Mean Machine, and it was fun learning that the main riff was inspired by a Butthole Surfer song. And I love the Butthole Surfers because I like noise.
And I'm like, hey, that's rad. I just was inspired by it for some reason, and I came up with...
Also, Civ is really good. I love a lot of their songs on here, and Living Life is probably the best "fuck you, I'm doing things my way" song I've ever heard. It's really inspirational to me as a rebel at heart.
Tony Wannabe and all his lollipops get cracked today. First one to the Chewy Center wins.
I have a question. What does that mean? Okay, so the next part of this video is going to get really soppy and kind of pretentious. You'll understand why, because it's about music. And I love music, and I love it when music and games go hand in hand, so here we go. The Mermen are what my mind goes back to constantly when I think of this series. Their song really encapsulates what this entire franchise is all about. This part of Sponge Cookie, right here. This is what my mind goes to when I think back on this game. I think it has to do with how the tracks flow up and down. Like I said earlier, there isn't a straight road in this game, it's all curves. You're always ascending and descending. It's almost like you're surfing across the entire state. You take tight corners as smoothly as you can, and sometimes you catch some sick air. What adds to this feeling is how the bikes start to feel in the late game. They get really fast, almost to the point that they're nearly becoming uncontrollable. Now, usually not being able to control something is bad design unless you're a horror game, but here it works in the game's favor because you really feel the power behind the bikes. Your acceleration also doubles as a way to perform wheelies if you tap it a bunch, so when you're tapping the gas when coming out of a corner, your bike rears up like an untamed bronco before zipping down the highway. It's over the top and cartoony, but it really sells the speed and power that's right underneath you. I don't even care if it was unintentional. This game pulls off that thing. What is it? Kinesthetics? Game feel? Alright, look. The game touched me, and I liked it. I hope I don't get a rash. A road rash. 3D. And, if I'm being honest, that's pretty much all I have to say on this game. Road Rash 3D isn't very long, and it's not really that in-depth of a racer. Because, I found out really late into the game that you have a nitro boost. But there's no straightaways that you can actually use it on to gain the advantage, and the AI just matches your acceleration anyway, so it's not like it really puts any distance between you and them. But it's not over yet! That's right, we're gonna go on a Road Rash road trip around the entire state. I'm gonna show you all the cool stuff I found on the roads, as well as ranking the pedestrians we find along the way. Actually, scratch ranking them, Terry and this dude win. Because this dude's dancing. As it turns out, time trials actually does have a timer. You can only race for 20 minutes before the game takes the keys away from you, and after my massive road trip, I see why.
Oh my god.
What initially spurred this idea of me exploring the map came from me being a kid and playing this game and going and looking around at stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's not more interesting than that. And also, Ross Scott kind of gave me the idea from his videos. And this is probably going to be the most Ross Scott I get until Courier's Mind. Coming eventually. Remember the Burnout Paradise comparison I made earlier? Well, this game really was ahead of its time in the world department because much like Burnout Paradise, you're racing between landmarks. That weird cage ball thing that appears in all the FMVs, that's a place in the world. All the bars you visit in Big Game are all locations you can see while driving around. Not only that, but there's a ton more landmarks aside from the main ones. There's a giant church, Rash High, graveyards, and up in the hills there's a castle. It feels like they were wanting you to learn the region and race between the landmarks going your own way the entire time, but due to technical limitations, they just couldn't do it. This game genuinely could have been truly ahead of its time, but the limitations are there for good reason. Because the moment you stop to actually look at your surroundings, you realize how much of the game was not meant to be seen at speeds less than 100. Like, it's rough.
Weird these PS1 roads are.
Look at this. Look at this real fake road.
Ooh.
Man, I sure can't wait to get my hair done. Must be somewhere down this street. Oh. Man, this town really loves its donuts. They have a shop literally every other store between whatever this is supposed to be. Donut. Dude, where do you want to get a donut at?
What's the shop next to Donut?
I don't know. I can't read it.
The shop next to Donut is a donut.
I think donuts are the economy here. We're in the donut district.
See, think about the world being drawn here. All the EA workers, they get their shore leave, they get off their boats, which they use for shipping, and then they just go online.
Oh, hey, look,
get
there's
their donuts.
look, there's another shipping company here.
So,
Kill
like,
'em.
It's
Drive?
It's
Drive? What?
Drive? I also found one entire adult bookstore in what I'll name Comic-Con Lane, for obvious reasons. You also can't go that far off the track before Patty activates the bike DRM.
Spice, you gotta be careful. You've got 7 minutes left,
Oh,
effectively.
fuck. I got 7 more minutes of freedom before Patty takes me back to my cell. Oh, right, Patty. I realize I haven't talked much about the story in this game, and that's because there really isn't a story to talk about. The game is about you being an up-and-comer in the biker racing scene, with the 4 gangs from the intro representing the 4 different options of bike. After that, it's all just about winning the races to buy more bikes from Patty's. You'll hear dialogue from the racers in between races, but it feels more stream of consciousness, like no one really knows what they're saying, but it sounds cool, so we're gonna roll with it.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack's gonna get his little ass kicked.
You can also hear them in the actual races, but again, it's rare for reasons I've already listed. And I even heard a girl once who screamed like a man. Where it gets weird though is the ending. Patty says that me and her are the only ones left, and that I took out all the leaders.
To this unruly rash, a stranger came, pumped the dons and won the game. The best got swept and left to rest. Now only you and me are left.
I didn't realize we were racing to the death. Alright, badass. Explains why some of the racers' names changed. Something I didn't realize until my road trip was that one part of the city has nothing but billboards that have the names of the gangs on them. That's weird. I didn't realize that illegal street racing gangs just put their names up on billboards, and they look pretty official, you know, for this game's fidelity. Sponsorship, like, right, yeah, the Desades, that's another bike gang in this game.
This is an alternate universe where bike fighting went corporate. That's why you're wearing a McDonald's outfit and you're on a Mookie bike.
This is the reason
You're
why
a
Biker
corporate
Road
slave.
Trip was the best idea. Pizzeria, restaurant. Okay, I have a theory. A massive one, and it's gonna go places no one expects. Alright, you guys ready? This game takes place in an alternate 1998 where Electronic Arts was a major player in shipping, and something happened in California to cause it to become unstable. I'm not talking about the glitchy graphics, I'm talking about the physics, the biker gangs, the fact that no one actually dies. Okay, so something happened in California, possibly with the awakening of some elder beings. You don't know, I mean, look at these walls. They're looking pretty Relayan. Is that how you say it? This causes EA to move in. After all, they're into the shipping business and specializing in moving cursed artifacts and specializing in moving cursed artifacts out of the Bay Area exclusion zone might be super beneficial to an evil company. There's only one problem. There's a bunch of people living here, and they probably don't know that they live in an abstract hell world. I mean, how do you even park here? So what do? Put 4 biker gangs in power and give them loads of money to run the show, and the 4 families divide the region amongst them. Desades take the industrial park because that's where the impact most likely took place, as well as the fact that they're all leather-bound crazies, so they might actually be cultists for all we know. They probably could have caused this. The cafe boys take up the cities, as their sport bikes are more accustomed to asphalt, as well as being what appears to be a mostly Chinese gang. And there's a heavy Chinese influence in the inner city. Look, it's China. Look at the pagoda. Finally, there's the doolies and tech guys. They take up the more rural area. They take up the more rural areas of the. Okay, you know what? They just live out in the wilderness. The doolies cruise around in the beach. The tech guys are the ones that watch the mountains, and really, I think they're more like enforcers for the other factions in general. But they might be looking for artifacts that wash up on the beaches. Patty is more than likely an informant for EA or potentially this other company known as Drive. They only have 1 truck and ship docked in port, possibly being in fierce competition with EA. This is where you come in, the mysterious racer. You think you're here to win the big race to get into Patty's, Patty. But really, you're just a pawn in a corporate war between Drive Inc. and EA Shipping Services in a bid to control the California anomalous zone. So when you finally dethrone the 4 families, she's able to take over and fully kick EA out of the region. What happens to you, though? Well, canonically, I think time trials takes place at this point, since you keep all the bikes that Patty gifted you for being such a good pawn. See, here's the proof. But there's something really interesting about that time limit. 21 minutes. Where have I seen that? Oh, shit.
No luck.
Wait a minute. We're in a big world where no one can die, and we're going from point to point to form connections between all the bars. There's a motorcycle, and there's props floating into nothing, and there's no water underneath this bridge! Bridges! Okay, I'm not saying Kojima is a hack, but I'm saying Kojima possibly ripped off Road Rash 3D to make Death Stranding. It just makes too much sense. You gotta believe. Alright, hello. That was definitely a video that you've just experienced. I hope you enjoyed the places it took you, and yeah, I don't know where I was going with it by the end of it, but I'm glad it's over. I didn't mean for this to take this long to come out. I was in the process of changing jobs, and I'm actually going to be properly starting that job tomorrow. Yeah, I didn't expect this to take this long to come out. It got away from me. So yeah, in terms of videos coming up, I had a lot more planned for October, but, you know, life happens. So I'm just going to go out and say it. The Halloween video is going to be Ghostbusters Remastered, because I really wanted to play the Ghostbusters game, but my dad sold it, and so I just got the remaster for the PC, and I breezed through it, and I really just need to write a script for it. There's probably going to be a video for it coming soon that's more of like a thing I've been wanting to do with it, with all this footage I got, along with a lot of other videos. The Tower Unite video's coming out. You know, I have a lot of Mordhau footage I want to burn through. I have a bunch of Silent Hill 2 footage I want to burn through. And then Courier's Mine, you know, coming out fucking eventually when it happens. Other than that, review-wise, I think for November it's going to be 2 videos I have planned. They probably won't come out at the same time, but I'm trying. God knows I'm trying. The first one is going to obviously be Way of the Samurai 4. I didn't realize how big that game was when I got into it. I'm on my 5th playthrough right now. I just finished all the dojo shit, and I just got one of the rarer fighting styles in the game. So yeah, that's going to be coming soon, and I genuinely cannot wait to share that with you guys. And the other video that's going to be coming either in November or December is a video on Shadow Tower Abyss, because I really wanted to play it, and there is literally nothing online for it. There used to be some guides, but they lead to dead websites and scam sites now. So I am literally on my own, like, learning that game, which is cool. Other than that, things have been going fine. We should probably talk about the biggest elephant in the room that was that got ignited at the beginning of this. I don't even know why I'm wording it this way. So Idolmaster, I literally know next to nothing about it other than that Triple Q has used some of the songs in the in his remixes. I'm pretty sure that's where I heard the Hamburger song from, because I don't listen to J-pop shit. That's not me. I'm not into that. But other than Berserk memes, I actually have no idea what the fuck the game is. I looked up gameplay right after I made that segment, and I still can't tell how the fuck you play it. I don't even... I have next to no idea what I'm about to get into if my Patreon actually makes $100 a month. So that's your incentive. If you want to fuck with me immensely, give me $100 a month and I will play that game. I don't know what it is. I genuinely don't know what I'm getting into, and I'm kind of afraid, and I really do regret it. But I can't take it out, because that took a lot of time to make that little part. That one little part took half an hour to make, and I'm not removing it, because I'm fucking stubborn. Okay, so yeah, I'm probably on a watch list now because of that. Anyway, I'll see you gamers in whatever video comes next, be it Tower Unite, Mordhau, my ransom note, poop.